Good evening, good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome to today. When you start a business, because of the survivor instinct that we have when the business starts, usually we don't think of how to develop the team and how to build the company how to grow the company by relying on growing the expertise of the people that you employ, especially the first ones. And so because you are not sure, usually if it's your first business, you're not sure of what you're doing, you're not sure whether the business is going to work out, your attention will not be so much on the development of the people. You may be focused on the money, getting the contract, getting the sales, more than focusing on developing the team that you have, or the people who come to work with you. And that could be one of the major errors that you will make. The earliest that you start to get the awareness that if you employ somebody, if it's a company, by all means you're not going to build a company alone. You would need people to work with you. The earliest or the faster you become aware that I would have to train the people who work with me, the better for you. Because every productivity of the business is going to depend on the productivity of the team or the culture that you have built. And usually that is not something that is on our mind at all when we start to build a business, because you are thinking of the revenue, you are thinking of the next project, the next sales, you are thinking of the product, you are thinking of the pricing. The problems are money. So you may not be so much concerned about trying to develop the people. So usually you are only waiting for somebody who is already developed and you get them to help you. That is even when you have the money to pay them. And hopefully you think that they come with the expertise that you need, and they'll be so much committed to help you to build the business or the company. That, for most often than not, is an error, because you have started the business with a partner or with or alone, and you know where the business has to go. You know the sacrifices that you made, or the sacrifices that you are going to make sure the business grows. If you don't commit to training them, no matter how many years that you build the business, they will still be very different people from what you have in mind. And the more distant the people that you have employed are from what the mind that you have for the business, the more troubles that you will have. The more troubles that you have. The one of the best ways to close the gap will be for you to start to consciously develop the people, whether it's one person, 2, 20, whatever business that you are in, the number of people that you have engaged, whether they are part-time, whether they are working without any salary, or whether they are working on commission, or whether they are taking salary, whatever model that you have. The most important thing at this stage is that when you get anybody on board, you have to come up with your own training model and to develop them according to the way you want to set the business, according to the way that you want the business to grow. It's not one of the things that you should leave at all. And the training should spread everywhere. It's not just about the sales, it's not just about the project or the engineering, but it's about the totality of the business, and even of the culture and of the country. And you, the business owner or the business leader, would have to commit to doing that every now and then. If it has to be once a month, or once every 3 months, or once a year, whatever that you think you have to do, you have to do that. Because human beings, if they are not trained, they become dangerous. All right. So a lot of the problems that you may be having with the team that you have is because maybe you have not been responsible to the training of your team. And sometimes some people will just wait and give the training of the company or of the employees to the so-called experts, the experts that go around. No, it's like you giving your children for the children that you live with, for another person to be training them and expecting that those children will listen to you. If anything at all, the trainings that you are doing should be far more than the training that any person that you call experts or consultants should come in to do. So today I am talking about committing to the training of your team. So if you have 1 employee, 2 people, if it's somebody in charge of your shop, or somebody in charge of your warehouse, your workshop, somebody in charge of anything, your project, you should be looking at training them. Because if you don't do that, it means that they have different perception of the business and you have different perception of the business, and there will always be conflicting of ideas, there will always be hostility, there will always be fighting, and you may even accuse people who are not wrong as if they are wrong, just because they are not on the same page with you. And the company is not going to be that productive and efficient if your team is not on the same page with you. And you cannot just rely on the fact that they have been to school and therefore they should know what to do. That is not on the table at all, because it's a whole different entity that you have set, and that entity must have a vision. So one of the things that I would want to tell you is that most often than not, the stories that you will have on the first people that you employ will not be the same stories maybe after 5 years of being in the business. The people that you employ, and from the letter that I have seen, don't employ people based on sympathy. Don't employ people because they don't have anything to do and you just give them any place to come and work. That will be one of the painful things that you will go through if you just employ people because you just have sympathy for people and you saw that they don't have anything to do and they should just come around to help you. It may even start like that, but if you want to correct the process, send them through the right things that you're looking for, and if they so qualify, employ them. If they don't employ them at all, because those people usually, what I've seen is that people who were not out there helping people, who were just about themselves, when you give them any position or when you employ them based on just the fact that you feel like they need help and you get them on board, with time those people will become very ungrateful to you and they will accuse you. They will be the very people who fight you, and no matter what you do for them, they will never be thankful, because they were not thankful themselves in their private life. Okay, so it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have with them. Look for people who were trying to do something, who were looking for a job, who were trying to do something with their lives. If it's your first employee and you have never engaged anybody at all, don't just employ anybody, even if it's your mother, just because your mother is not doing anything. You should have the passion, the person that you have to employ, whether it's your brother or your sister or your friend, anybody at all, should have the passion, should be passionate about doing something with their lives, and they should be thankful to be part of the team, to be working with you. They should not be the kind of people who just are confused with their life, don't know what to do with their lives, and because you have opened a business, you think that they should just come around and while away time. That is not the way to pick anybody to work with you, and that's not the way to build a team, and that's not the way to develop yourself as a business person. So you may make that kind of mistake, and the point is that when you employ somebody, no matter the genuineness of your heart and no matter what you think, those people should understand. They don't understand. The moment you tell somebody that I want to come and work with me, most of them, maybe 99% of them, are only thinking of the pay. Even if you have a struggling business, most often they don't really care. And the only way that they will judge you by the pay. They will judge you by the pay, and they will overestimate their input, and they will still look for the pay. And sometimes even if the business is struggling, they will still be interested in you paying them. And so don't employ people just because you think that somebody needs help and they don't have anywhere to go, and you'll be the one to help them. No. Because usually the first people that you employ, the story will not be nice if you're naive, if you just use sympathy, if you just use, because your success, the rate at which you succeed will depend on the commitment of the first person, the second person, the third person that you brought into the business. And so look at the stories well, look at the first thing, look at and based on where I am now, if I were to employ anybody at all, I will not use the same tactics as I used the first time. And so if you have not done it, or if you have done it, Look through the mind of the people. Are they people who want to do something with their life? Are they people who are committed to understand the startup or a beginning company and the culture and the struggles and the pains and the things that a business when it started goes through? Or they think that once it's a business everything is perfect and therefore it's like the business which has been around for a while and everything should be clear, you know? So you have to look for that, and beyond the training, look for the base. The people should have the fundamentals, then you can train them on it. If they don't have that seed, you cannot water that which is not planted. You know, if the seed is not in them, the training is like water. You are watering some seed. I think that seed, they should come with it. If they don't come with that seed of wanting to do something with their life, wanting to be, being passionate to working with you, being somebody who understands how different a business that has started just now from the business that has been around for a while. If they don't have this kind of psyche, if they are not the people who are helping others themselves, you don't need them to be in a startup. You don't need them to be in a company that you have just begun. This kind of people should work in an environment where the systems are set. And so even though you may have sympathy for such people, my advice is that it's not worth it to bring people in who are not selfless, who are just looking for salary, who are not doing something with their lives already, who are not ambitious. Because it's really any employee in a first business, in a beginning business, must be some kind of an entrepreneur themselves. Okay, because the psyche is different. A typical employee looks for comfort and security and predictability of salaries and stuff like that. If they don't have any inclination of being entrepreneurs, you don't have to employ those people in your first business. Maybe later when the business has been staged, when things are right, you can get people like that to be part of your business. But if it's a startup that a lot of things are unpredictable, a lot of things are in struggling stage all the time, you will need people who are themselves thinking, to be ambitious, to be passionate, to making a contribution. They have some kind of dignity of their lives and respect for you. Those kind of things that you look for if you're looking for a first person to work with you. So the stories, if you don't take care of the kind of first story that you create in employing the first people of your business, can be disastrous. And don't use sympathy. Don't use the fact that the guy has finished school, is in the area, is not doing anything, so he should come to help you. Even if it's the office that they are cleaning, make sure that they qualify. Because when it gets to when it gets going, the same people will accuse you of having wasted their time with you, or having been part of something that you're building, and now that the business is succeeding, you are the ones who are telling them that you're not part. Because nobody will be part when there is error, when there are loans to be paid, when there is disaster, you will be the one responsible. But when there are gains, people will tell you that they were there when you started, and yet you were the one taking a lot of trouble and solving them. So look at that and understand what it takes to build a business. The understanding of what it takes. Look for people whose understanding of what it takes to build a business is a bit up than just having this, illusion that because you have started a business means that you have money and therefore everything is going to be right. And look at their commitment, and that one you have to look at it. How they work. Commitment comes from how they work. The time that they put in the work, how seriously they take, and how prideful they are in terms of them working with you, in terms of them working with the company. If you see that they are not proud working with the company and the people who matter in their lives, they hide the fact that you employ them from them, you have to sever the relationship. You have to cut them. You have to let them go and find a place that they are more proud to work with, or they are proud to work with. Because the moment they are not proud there, it means that they hide to come and work with you. And you don't need people like that. And they should be proud that you have started a business and they came to work with you. So, and it's very important. They should be very proud that they are working with you, and you are providing the leadership in spite of all your inefficiencies, and they see the future with you, even if they don't understand it from the level that you you have, and never worry about them leaving. Never worry about that at all. If you employ anybody and within a day or 2 weeks they want to leave, never worry about that. They have to leave, just as they had the right to come in. You know, so look for people who you can train. Look for people who want to do something with their lives already. If it's a new business, and continue to develop yourself and get better, because the more you get better, the more you, the leader, improve yourself, the more you can see what it takes to improve another person. You know, and it will take a lot of, you know, training, so that when you see talent, you'll be able to see one. So I'm talking about committing to developing a team. If you start a business, you are going to need people. If you're going to build a company, you are going to need people to work with. Usually we don't look at that side at all. We only look at the projects, we only look at the money, we only look at the stress, and we forget about training the people. And yet the training that you give to the people is what is going to make sure the business grows, and grows with less difficulties and problems, if you commit to be able to develop a group of people who will stay with you for a while. And I'm saying that don't employ people, or don't take the few people that you start a business with, employees particularly, based on sympathy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look for people who are trying to do something on themselves. Even if they come to push themselves on you, train. Look for indicators. Look for their hearts, because a lot of people just come close because of what they will gain, not because of the vision, not because they want to help you to build a company. They only don't have anywhere to go. They think that they don't have a better option, therefore they just have to get out of the house, so they come around. But they may not be interested in helping you to do what it takes to build a company at all. And yet they will be counting on the salary, they'll be counting on some kind of money that you have to give them. And so you take it as seriously as if you were an established company. If you can do that, you can offset, or you can do away with a lot of problems that people go through when they are trying to build business, when they are trying to build a team. Because it's one of the most difficult things to do, starting a business and trying to develop a team. And yet the key is the training, the commit, the training. But you cannot train somebody who does not even qualify for training. You cannot water a place where you have not put the seed. You know, so they should come with some kind of seed. They should come with some kind of attitude, some kind of personal attitude, ambition that will help the training. If they don't have that, and they have different psyche of, you know, they are looking for a nice place to work where they will be proud and tell people about it, then you are not the place to employ them, because your business basically is evolving. And you yourself, even though you are leading the business or started the business, you may not be sure of yourself or of the business. You may not even be clear of what the business is going through, where you're going to go, and things like that. So you need people around you who should have a bit of that psyche as well. If you don't have that, it's going to be difficult for you to develop a team that you can rely on. So the commitment of the business, look at their commitment of being part of a business of your stature. When the business has gone through a lot of processes and is developed, it doesn't matter who comes on board, because you may have some bit of systems and understanding of how things have to be. But when you have no system, or when you have nothing in place, then you don't need this kind of people to come around you. You don't need people who are only focused on themselves. They are not proud of being under your leadership. They are not proud of being part of this kind of business. Sometimes you may even have started a business in your house, in your single room, in your hall, somewhere, you know, and you need somebody to come to help you, to maybe send some documents, to, you know, the things that people come around to help you. I am saying, I think that you should be deliberate about it. Not be so much fearful, but be deliberate about it as to the kind of person that you can get on board to help you, and take it as seriously as possible. And if you have to give them some letter of engagement, do that, and clear some few things, even if it's 5 lines that you write, that I'm engaging you from this day to this day. I can pay you this based on what you do, this, you know. Get some format. Talk to people who have a structure, who have done that. Some little kind of agreement, no matter who they are. They are your sisters or your brothers, it doesn't matter. Your mother or your uncle, it doesn't matter. Get them to understand something, because they are humans. and they're capable of doing anything that could shock you beyond what you can imagine. So get some things clear, and never worry about them if they leave. Never worry about that. You are building a business, the idea started with you, or the idea started with you and a partner. If you employ somebody and they want to go, you should not be disturbed at all. There is always somebody who wants work. Always. There's always somebody who will be proud, who, if you set your processes well, there's always going to be somebody who will be proud to work with you. So never worry about those who leave. Worry about those who are staying and how you are going to develop them. Focus on that and continue to develop yourself, because if you develop yourself, then you'll be able to identify who should work with you to minimize a lot of the problems. Some of the things that you have to train your team, if you think that the person qualifies at all, is you have to set the mission and the vision of the company in place and set them rightly. The mission is about what the company is doing every day to get to where the company wants to go, and that is the vision. So if your vision is to get to Kumasi, then what you do, the vehicle that you take to get to Kumasi is the mission. So set the goal, at least 1, 2, 3, 4 years, what your understanding of what kind of business you're building. Set the goal, even if you have one employee, even if you have yourself. Set a goal, write it somewhere, and maybe type it and bind it. The business goal, what is it that separates you from the other one? What is it that separates you from the other company? Or even if you start 3 companies, what each company is meant. Set the goal and train the people who come to work with you to at least have a little understanding of what the business is about. What you do, what do you do? Is it you're selling what? If you're selling, what are you selling? And what is it that separates you from the other people who sell the same thing? Is it the quality? Is it the price? Is it your customer service? Is it the position? What is it? What is it that separates you from the other one? Let the team understand this. Let the team understand this, and let them understand the values that the company stands for. What kind of things that you stand for? What is it? What is it that you will not compromise? Put the same thing in the team. Women's response to training. They respond to training. Women's respond to training. So once you start to talk, because words are the ones that you use. You use words to build a team. So once you start to train the team, but when you start, it will be difficult, because probably it's the first time that you are trying to train, especially if you're a first-time business person. It's the first time you're trying to train. It will be funny yourself, but with time you will master it. And you'll be able to train them well. So you talk about the company vision, the mission. You talk about the things that you will not compromise as a company, and the strategies that you have. It should not only be in your head. You should be able to tell the first person, the 2, the 3 people that you are working with where you're going, and you are training them so that they will have that skill to also possibly train other people who, as the company grows. So really the business or the company is about people system, so to say. You are training, and the psyche that you give to the team, the wisdom, the knowledge that you give to the team. Never trust the exposure they come with. They can come with technical exposure, but in terms of the people skills, the attitudinal exposure, you have to demand it, because the culture of the business definitely is going to be based on what you intentionally build. Okay, so develop that. Develop the culture. Train them on the culture too. What is it that you accept? What is it that you don't accept? Do you accept them talking anyhow, or you accept them to be what is it? You train them to be more assertive. Sometimes they can even question what you say. They should not be subservient, but at the same time they should know that everybody must be respected. Those kind of things. You should know what is it that you are training your team on, because it's a company. If you are committed to building a company, if you're just looking for revenue and you're just trading somewhere, no problem. But if you want to build a company, if you register a business and you have a service, a product, and you think that you want to develop this idea into a business, you are going to need people, and you have to commit into training them. No matter which company they work with, now they are with your company. And if they have accepted to be with the company, and you think that they have the basis for you to train, then have the people, 1 or 2 things that you train them, and commit to training them every now and then. Whether it's 1 month time, 2 months, is up to you. But you are going to do the training so as to reduce the stress that comes from working with people. So develop them or train them on the mission of the company, on the vision of the company. Train them on the culture. What is it that you accept? What is it that you don't accept? Don't just assume that people are that much intelligent. They are intelligent, but this is a new thing that you're building. And so you are building for a specific thing. Don't just compromise on it and think that people should be productive. You have to teach them, what do you call productive? Or what do you call being productive? You have to tell them that if I give this job, this is what I expect. Because it's so difficult for people to even hear. Especially in the culture that people work with assumptions more than instructions. A lot of people work with assumptions. Did he call the man? Yes, I called him. So why did he not get back to me? Because when I called him, he didn't pick. So I assume that you understand that once I didn't call back, it means that I didn't get him. That's how people think. Now you have to tell them that if you call somebody and he did not pick, call me back to tell me. You are training them. And so if you don't do that consciously, you are not going to get the results. You are not going to build a system that you can even stay off and let it run. So if you're going to do anything to building a business at all, commit to training the humans. Every one of them is a gold. That is like gold, but sometimes it's like gold in debt. You have to polish it so that you cannot take your eyes off them. If you have a good training model, and the training should not just be about the business and the goals. No, sometimes you have to lift them from the culture, from the myth that they come up with. Because some of them will come up with a lot of myth. They are looking for a big company to work with, and your company probably is not big at the moment. They're looking for fat salary, and probably you are not the one to pay the fat salary at this moment. They are looking to come in on time and just close and go away. And this business is a new business. It's going to take a lot of input. And yet you are not going to pay them the money that their colleagues may be receiving. And then they have misunderstanding as to the job market and the opportunities that are there. So when you give them a place, they think that they could be better somewhere, until they go to see that the job market is that not open. And sometimes they come with no skill. Now you are the one to tell them and build them the network and everything. You should train them to see that the value you are giving them is more than sometimes just the salary. And so you are going to talk to them about a lot of things. How do they manage their time? How do they manage their money? Even though you yourself, you are trying to find these things out. But as you learn them, you have to share with the few people who you are training, the core team that you are building, your first team. You have to share with them. And never worry whether they stay with you or they don't stay with you. Never worry about whether they stay with you or they don't stay with you. That's you training, you yourself, you are also double training. So the culture, anybody who comes in, within a few months, you'll be able to build, you'll be able to set a culture that will not just deviate from the goal that you have set for yourself. So you teach them about a lot of things, about the misunderstanding that you think is in their head, and the hypiness that they come with, because a lot of the people that you may employ may be young people, and they have a different way of looking at life. They will have a different style of working. They have a lot of myths that they believe in. They're so rare. There's a lot. And so you don't just focus about the technical knowledge that you're giving them. There's a lot about life that they have to also become, and you teach them as well. So those are all part of the trainings. And the things that you stand for, you let them also understand that you stand for this, you don't stand for that. So if you say that, okay, I don't cheat people, then you have to make sure that your team understands that. If you say that we don't dupe people, and if you have problem, you will stay to solve it, they have to understand that, because they are going to be like you. Sometimes even their outfits, you may have to just encourage them to put on the right outfit for the business, because it's a culture that you're building, it's a business that you're building. So all of those, you have to just get them in place, because you are really building a company anyway, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not. And the training is what going to be responsible for the company that you're building. If they were stealing where they were and they come to the company, are you going to allow them to steal? If you send them outside to go to talk to somebody, did you tell them that they can go and do their personal business there, or you tell them that once you are going in the company's name, we expect you to do this? All those, you have to sit down and make sure your team understands what you stand for. It's very important, very much important. So on the ethics, you work on the ethics as well. Work on the ethics. It is very much important. The character that you put in them. They may come with some seed, but you have to develop them. So if you're the kind who is always reading books, you introduce them to reading books. You know, if you're the kind who is always listening to something that will improve you, you tell them, listen. Sometimes it's so difficult for them to copy, but if you keep on training, somewhere along the line, they may or they will listen to you. And sometimes you just have to place a demand. And that I want you to develop this, I want you to use this as tools, I want you to listen to this tape, I want you to read this book, you know, I want you to do this way. And it's very easy when the person you pick had the basis. If they are the kind of people who disrespect you and don't value what you say, you're not going to have a good team. And so you want somebody who has that kind of skill, to be, who is trainable, so to say, who has the attitude to listen. And to value the fact that you took a step to start a business and you have given them place to work, you know. So you look for that. If they are disrespectful, don't keep them in the team at all. The longer you keep them in the team, the more you stay at the same stage. Okay. The longer you keep people who don't value where they are, who don't value the fact that they are with you in your team, the more you keep yourself at the first stage. So you should look for people who really want to be there, who are appreciative, who want to, you know, and anytime that you see people have lost the passion to be with you, if you can, let them go, you know, and get people who are passionate, because people who are passionate to and thankful to be part of the team have a certain kind of energy, and you're going to create a lot when they have that kind of enthusiasm around you. So how they take orders and how they take corrections, you work on that as well, because a lot of people are very cocky. A lot of people are very much proud, even though you are the leader and you're trying to train them, build a culture. Sometimes when you correct them, they get so much offended, they get so much angry. And if you see those kind of tendencies, it's not a first business kind of tendency. You don't have to, they can work in an established business. But if it's a first business that you're doing, that a lot of things are not set, you don't need those kind of characteristics or those kind of characters to be in your team. The people who should be part of the first team, or when the business is still young, under 5 years or so, are people who are open to correction and to upgrade and into improvement. Because you are also open, and some people cannot even handle respect. A lot of people, when you give them respect, because they don't understand respect, they reply with disrespectfulness. Because nobody has reposed some kind of confidence in them before. You know, so when you give them those kind of exposure, when you give them those kind of privileges, they think that you are weak. They may not understand that you are just trying to develop them. And so people who have no exposure, who are not coming from a background where somebody has ever reposed some kind of confidence in them before, when you start to give them respect and you treat them as humans, they take it as a weakness. You know, so those are the things those are one of the risks that you have to take. Those are some of the risks that you have to put up with if you are going to develop the people, especially when you are developing people who maybe it's their first time being developed or being trained in a working environment. So to work, you also train them to work in the interest and the growth of the company. They should be interested in how the company grows. They should be so much passionate about that. If you don't see that kind of thing, you are just being sympathetic, so to say, towards them. You're not building a business. And I put up with a lot of those errors when we started, you know. So we are just using sympathy and good-heartedness, and that will delay the business. Maybe you can start an NGO to handle that. But if it's a business that you're going to build, you would have to commit to training them to be interested in the growth of the business. They go outside, they're looking for business for the company to grow. They are looking for leads. They are not just sitting down waiting for you. And a lot of them will sit down and wait for you. So until you tell them to go, they'll be sitting down. And those lazy ones are the ones who go around maligning and castigating you and blaming you for nothing, you know, because they are lazy. And so you look for people with that kind of passion and interest and that kind of respect. And once you get that, you train them alongside as well because the company will not grow if the team is not focused on growth. The company will not grow when the team is not focused on the company growing. If they are not happy for the company to grow, you don't have a company. You just have something that you're entertaining yourself with, So they should see the benefit of working with a company and seeing the sacrifices that you're making. And so if you hear them saying a lot of things, and which is very common in our country because of the inexposure and because of lack of clarity in thinking among the youth, said that a lot of them are not that much cultured to be thankful and grateful for the opportunities that you give them. And some of them will place themselves even above you. But these are the skills that you have to grow for you to build a business. Because until the business is at the stage where you can bring in the so-called professionals, you are going to deal with such people. And so your ability to even pick somebody like that and train them well to commit to the business and work with the business is so much very important. And so the general impact of their contribution in making sure, train them of their general impact of working with the company. Train them on that. And they should even see the kind of impact that they are making in terms of the community and in terms of the country. The fact that they are working with you, what impact are they helping to make in the country? So if the company is growing, you're going to employ more people. That is something significant for the economy of the country. And you should train them to see the wide picture, the general periphery that you are trying to do. And so the most painful thing is that sometimes you yourself don't even have that kind of understanding. Because you started the business green, you don't have much understanding, and then you are required at the same time to train your people. And so that is it. So you teach them about their promptness to time. You teach them about how they should solve problem and be committed to solving problem. When there's a problem, they should not be the ones. They should not be calling you without doing anything about it. You train them about that, because the business is always going to have problem every minute, every day. Problem about the people, the money, the systems, everything, about the clients, about everything. So you train them well, not to develop confidence in themselves that they can solve problems without panicking and without getting to you at all costs before they can solve anything. So some of the things you have to just do. And the attitude in handling money, if they are not honest, they are going to cheat the company, they are going to steal from the company. So one of the things that you would have to establish will be you train them about how to handle money and how to handle the privilege that comes along working with you. So because some of them they will have access to the money, they will have access to some of the possessions of the company. You should train them to be honest and to be ethical. Because if they are stealing from the business, then the business is losing so much, and sometimes the business may not even be making that much for the business to survive. So if you have people around you who are that dishonest and they are thieves, then what are you building? And I will dare say that a lot of them, when you test them with money, a lot of them may fail. So you just have to re-engineer their thinking pattern and help them with how they have to be honest with you in terms of the money, in terms of the privileges that come around working with you. And so I am talking about you committing to the training of your team. If you're going to build a business, you will need people to work with you. If you're going to build a company, people will come around to work with you. My thoughts are that you may not be that experienced in training anybody, but once you say that you have started a business, those issues will come up. So be committed to it. Be committed to it. Be committed to it. At least have a model to talk to them. Talk to them, train them about the vision of the business, train them about everything that concerns the things that you think they should know. Because you're carving you're creating an art. So it's how well you do it. And so my thinking is that if you get it wrong with the first employees, and some of the ways that you can get them wrong, as I said earlier, will be picking people just based on sympathy, because the guy has nothing to do, just get him around, or because the guy is if your friend, or the guy is those kind of things. Don't do that. Just take them as seriously as you can, and look for the right kind of skill, right kind of attitude to get somebody else to come in to help you, because they are human beings and they are capable of doing anything at all. They are capable of destroying the business that you have built. They are capable of lying to you. They are capable of creating fight for you that you may not be ready for. So work on that. Look for the right people that you can employ. Look for the right people that you can employ, and look for the seed in them. Are these people who were doing something on themselves? Are they people who were ready to help other people? Are they people who are ambitious, who are committed to becoming somebody? Do they want to become somebody? But those are the people that you want around when you start a business. The other people can work in well-established businesses. But when your business is that green and is still evolving, just as you are evolving, you don't need people who are just self-focused. You don't need people who are that very much ungrateful and are not thankful for the little things that are done for them. You don't need people who don't help anybody. If they're self-focused and selfish and is only about themselves, they don't have to work with a company that has just started. They will create a lot of problems for you, because they will not put in the hours that are required for the business to grow, because it always has to be done. And when you start a business, the reality is that the money is not just going to come as is predicted. Almost all the time the money is in shortage. Okay, so you will need people with that kind of psyche to get in the commitment in spite of the difficulties. Still, the business is at the stage that you can comfortably pick on others who will just work within the system that you have set. If you don't get those kind of people, you're going to create a lot of frustration for yourself. Look for people who will be very much committed to working with your company, and never worry about them leaving. If you made the wrong miss, if you made the wrong pick, if you wrongly pick somebody and you see that it doesn't fit, they should go, so that you can learn how to train the right ones. Okay, because they will never be happy, no matter how many years they stay with you, if they are the wrong ones working with you. And sometimes they just wedge around because they are just interested in the revenue, and some of them may not have the confidence to go and fight for another job. But you should know that they are the right pick, they are the right mix, they are the right guys that can put in the energy for the business to succeed. So if you fail at that, you're going to struggle. You're going to have a lot of problems. Not just the people problem, you're going to have problems, the money, with the contract, with the company, with everything, because the team is wrongly conditioned or wrongly packaged. So continue to develop yourself, continue to upgrade your knowledge, continue to upgrade your skill, and the more you become better, the more you can pick the right people. The more better you are, the more you can pick the right people. And so if you stagnate, or if you're stagnant in growing, then your team will also be stagnant, because they are always looking for somebody. And every business depends on the drive of one person, usually two maybe, but the drive that the one who is pushing has is what is going to get all the others to move. So teach them about the company's vision, teach them about the company's mission, tell them what you stand for, what you don't stand for, what you put up with, what you don't put up with. If you put up with lateness, tell them. If you don't put up with lateness, tell them. If you are the one who entertain them just behaving anyhow, it's up to you. But what I've seen is that growth is a product of excellence, is a product of diligence. Growth, development is a product of effort, putting in. And so you cannot just do anything, and your team cannot just do anything and wonder why there's no growth, there's no progress, wonder why you are still stagnant. So the company culture should be well structured, and that is mainly what the training is about. How the company does what they do. So their personal development should also be interested. You should also be interested in their personal development. You should be interested in that, because people show interest when you also show interest in their development, in what the things that are concern them. You should also be interested in those things. In that case, you become a good leader, and in that case, you can inspire them to become better at what they bring, to the company as well. So be interested how they handle their time, how they handle their personal money, the things that they are much more interested in. Those things, just look at that and look at their ethics, because any problem they create, whether for the company or outside the company, whether you like it or not, you'll be linked to it. And so help them to stand for some things, stand for ethics, good character. Let them understand those. Let them understand those. They're very much important because they are working with you. And so if they compromise on a lot of things, they're compromising on a lot of things in the company. And over time, you see that all those things will start to show. And so the other thing that you have to take is you have to know how they take orders, how they take instructions, how they take corrections to get improved. Some people will have a lot of problem with you trying to correct them and you trying to give them instruction. Those you have to look. And it's just not about always correcting, but sometimes it's also about you praising them and appreciating what they also bring on board, And so work, they should be committed in working in the interest of the company, because the company is that small, you just started it. If all the businesses, they divert the leads, you are not going to grow. If they are working with you and they also have side business somewhere, and your company needs a lot of effort, that's not the kind of people, or those are not the kind of people that you want, So they should be so much committed to the growing of the business, and they should so much be interested in the company and the prospects for the company. If you don't see those, my suggestion is you would have to build another team and maybe let those people with you, and they should see the benefit in working with the company. The benefits that you're giving them, the fact that maybe they have a place to work and they are making some use with their talent in making impact, some social impact, some financial impact. They should know. If they don't value those and they don't value you, you don't need to keep them. And they should see the general impact that the company is also trying to make. If the company becomes successful, you're going to employ a lot of people like them, and that is also going to help people to also find some kind of living and make some kind of impact with their lives as well. So they should be just committed. They should be committed more than to just the salary, but also the fact that if the company succeeds, it's going to benefit everybody. So the general impact of their contribution should be well understood. You train them as well. Now we have started this, and if you stay committed to it, this is where we are going to go in the next 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years, in the next 10 years. This is what we're going and where we are going to get out of as this little idea that we are developing and where it's going. And sometimes the company may be big, but the workers may have different culture, and the company owner may have different culture. It only means that there is no commitment, or there is no commitment to training. There is no commitment to training, and there should always be commitment to training. People are just products of the training that they have had. People are just product of the training that they have had. So if the training that they have had is wrong, they're going to produce wrong things. And the training, first of all, starts with the knowledge that they have. You tune their mind first before they start to hit the ground. So if you're not interested in training your team, you're building a very bad company. And I think that you should spend more time trying to condition and train the team to be productive, to be character driven, to work hard, to develop their intelligence, to develop their integrity, to understand themselves, update themselves in the economy that they're operating in, the things that the company does, being passionate about working with the company, being committed to the growth, the future of the company, developing themselves as well. You should be committed to that if you want to build a company. And that's why very good structure, very good company structures, cultures are built. And usually, company owners leave those things to line managers and marketing people and HR people. I don't believe in that. If your workers are less than 100, you should be the one in charge of the training. If you're the company owner, you should be. There are two major things that company owners should be interested in. If you're the entrepreneur, if any of them goes wrong, you're sink. The people. and the money. The people means that your team and your customers, your partners, you should always be interested in them. Always interested in them. Always. Always. And the team, you should not just leave that for somebody you call HR. No, at all. Because they can bring in the wrong people and you spend a lot of money to make the corrections. So whoever you are bringing on board, be interested in that. Even if it's a cleaner, you would want to see them and interview them yourself, and look at the kind of people that you are bringing, and look at the kind of future that you want the business to go. If those people don't fit, don't put them there, because all problems, when they come, even though the HR people put them there, the problem will only be solved when you're involved, especially when they are damaging the company. You know, so if you know that the person has the potential to bring trouble, you should be involved in knowing who comes on board, always, and don't leave that for just any other people. You should, even if you are not the one going through there, you should meet them and look at them and ask them questions. Ask them questions about their persuasions of life, their background, everything. Ask them about their ethics. Ask them about everything, because they are going to work with you. If anything bad happens, nobody cares. They will come for you. And the money. You're interested in the money. Two things. You should be interested in where the money is going and where it's coming from. If you lose sight of these two, any other thing will go wrong. Any other thing will go wrong. Especially when you don't have full grasp, when you are still evolving as a business person, when the business is still evolving. You know, so train them also on the way they handle their time, their resources, and train them also on the way they solve problems. The way they solve problems. Their attitudes. Look at that. How do they talk to people? You teach them how they should talk to the team as well. They should not just be shouting and be bossy on the team. So once others are coming to join, you should be interested in how they treat them. Don't just leave it. Because sometimes you'll be doing good work trying to train him or trying to train them, and in your absence, they will be destroying the people. Because workers talk more among themselves than when you are present, that they will talk to you. There's a lot that they are discussing about everything, that when you're present, they will look like they are not discussing anything at all. And sometimes you never hear them. And maybe you don't need to hear everything. And that's why you have to teach them how to talk to the people and how to treat them. Because they have to treat everybody with respect. So they don't have to create fear in people. They don't have to create panic in people. They don't have to do a lot of the wrong things. You know, so you train them. Training is so much important to the success of the business that you're building. And if you can have your skill developed in terms of how you pick people and train them and develop them, you have a lot that you have covered. You know, because you'll be able to see talent and develop them. You'll be able to know who to work where, and most often that is the success, or that is the secret that most people don't master. The secret is how you manage the team and how you train them and how you keep on developing them. If you can get them on the right track, there's a lot that we can get going. And so thank you very much for watching. My name is Kwabena. I have talked about committing to the training of your team. And so if you lose guard of that, the business is going to go through a lot of stress and a lot of pain. So thank you very much for watching.